All right, we are live. Good evening from the Pacific Northwest. I am really excited today for my interview. I have a special guest on who's kind of considered a legend here in the Pacific Northwest. I was just talking with him backstage about that, as well as his whole bio that I talked about on my page today. What an accomplished gentleman. Oh my gosh. We have personally had a long relationship as far as my daughter was a cheerleader and was part of his facility and gym for many years. And so I had a really unique perspective to really observe and witness David in the background running his business. And let me tell you, everywhere that we went, people knew who we were because they knew David. They knew our gym. They knew who he was. He's sought after across the country. People would come from all over the place to come to his gyms to learn from him, to be coached from him. He's been a director nationally. He's involved in so many different things. So why am I bringing him on today? Well, I am talking about the year of 2021 is the year of the online business owner. And so even though he's not online necessarily, he does have a little bit of an online presence. He has so much background and experience in starting multiple businesses. If you know David, he's always got his hands in some sort of pot with some sort of business. They're all pretty darn successful. And I wanted to bring him on to get his perspective about transitioning from starting brick and mortar kind of businesses, offline businesses, versus the online businesses we've been talking about. So I'm going to bring him on. I'm going to let him introduce himself. If you're with me live, please go ahead and say hello. I am streaming to 3 locations tonight, so I'll try to keep track of the comments as they come up. Let me know where you're coming from, and I'll give you a shout out. If you're on the replay, let me know where you're coming from also, and we'll give you a shout out later. So let's go ahead and bring on David Long. All right. Hello, David. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Oh, you were cutting out a little bit there.
I can hear you.
Oh, good. Your face is just frozen.
Just a little.
All right.
Oh.
So we have a little bit of a delay, but that's okay. So can you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about your background? You have a long background of so many successes, but tell us basically your background and kind of what got you started in like basically wanting to start your why. Why did you start your first business?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, thank you for the introduction. That was very kind of you to say. I have worked my whole life. I grew up with a single, and really, if we wanted anything extra, meaning brand name items or um, of extracurricular activity, pay for ourselves. So I started working about when I was 8 years old. I mean, mowing lawns, washing cars, babysitting. Back then, you could babysit when you were 10. Um, and by the time I was 12, I had a full-time job after school. And by the time I was 18, I was a store manager. And from then on, I just really strong work ethics from my mom. And she took what she was good at and she made a career out of it, which was being a homemaker. And she actually opened up a housekeeping company and she would work, 6 a.m. until midnight some days. And I just saw her work ethic and realized, okay, something that I'm good at and make a career out of it, because I knew that I didn't want to work for other people my whole life. I knew that I wanted to go back. I am a type A personality. So my destiny, basically every aspect of my life, I like to be in control of. So I took what I was good at, which was, as a child, I paid for gymnastics and dance and cheerleading. And I knew that there was a need in the Pacific Northwest for some sort of recreational facility for kids. And I'd always wanted to work with kids too. So that was a big factor for me. I wanted to be able to work with people that not only wanted to be in the industry that I was in, kids that maybe were less fortunate, like I was as a child. And I wanted to be able to implement in their lives with structure like that as well. So I took what I was good at and I made a career out of it. And like I said, about at 18, 17, 18, I was already a store manager. And I just took every aspect that I could learn and sponge up from the businesses that I worked for and took what I loved out of those businesses and added it to mine. And it really helped me succeed in becoming a business owner myself. So I knew that in the South and on the East Coast, there was a lot of recreational gyms popping up. And, I think one of the misconceptions is people think, oh, you're a cheerleading coach. There's no money in that. Well, every little kid to be an athlete of some sort. And mom and dad will generally fork over, a good portion of money to pay for those recreational sports, whether it be soccer, cheerleading, gymnastics. They're all pretty or expensive sports, especially
Yeah,
when they're recreational. Sorry, my light just went out. Hold on one second. Oh,
that's
there we go.
okay.
And so when you take the numbers of athletes that you can have and you times it towards or with that monthly tuition plus the retail products that type of a program, pretty uh, good money making business, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you
And
definitely
so yeah,
found
I just
a
I took what I was good at and I made a career
yeah.
out of it.
And that's what a lot of business owners do. They take something that's just a passion to them. Like I actually just saw something about a surfer, a shore break surfer in Hawaii. His name is Charlie Little. And he just took his passion of surfing and turned it into this amazing career of photography. So if you take your passion of what you're interested in and you can find that there's a need somewhere for it, then boom, you're basically in business. So I'm
Exactly.
curious. We have, let's say hello to a couple people here. Hi, Mandy. Thank you for joining us live tonight. Great to see you here. And we also have Cheryl is on also with us. She's from
Hi,
Canada.
man.
Mandy and Cheryl. Cheryl's from Canada. So this is a global business here that
I
I'm
love
on my
it.
page here. Yeah. So I think last night we had someone from Brazil on with us also. So I'm curious,
Wow.
obviously it's great when you have a desire to want to start a business. You obviously found a need that's very common as far as it's accessible. Parents want a place to take their kids, somewhere that they could be safe, but have fun and have a great experience. Sports is always great with that. We were with you for years. At least I would say 8 or 10 years
Exactly.
we were with
Be
you.
safe, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's great, and you were the most highly decorated facility in the Pacific Northwest, and a lot of awards and things like that. But what does
Right.
it take I mean, how did you even know how to start your business? I mean, how did you just? I mean, isn't all of a sudden you just like boom, I'm in business? What are kind of some steps you had to go through?
Well, I gave you a long story really short. um, there were a lot of hurdles that I had to go through. First and foremost, I'm the type of person that I have to be an expert and have credibility
Mhm.
when I sell something. And so, like I'd grown up in gymnastics and in cheerleading and dancing, a lot of it on my own accord, meaning that I couldn't always pay to um, be trained by other people. So I would go to events and watch these events and sponge up these other kids' talents and figure it out for myself along the way. And I had a lot of friends that were in gymnastics and dance and cheer, and so I would make them teach me things. And so, as far as credibility wise, I became a perf athlete myself along the way. And so, that's one of the hurdles is becoming an expert in your field. I think that gives you the credibility that you need to sell what you're selling, whether that's a service or a product. Um, and then furthermore, it's like, okay, well, this idea, how am I going to fund it? Funding is a hurdle. Some people will look for people to donate money. I had nobody. I started my business with $1,200, and I am not joking.
Oh,
So,
wow.
earlier you and I were chatting, and you said that some people, are paying 100,000, 500,000 for franchises.
Mhm.
$1,200 to my name. And that is, and I was a full-time manager for a retail store. But I knew that I wasn't going to be for long, so I gave myself 1 year to run my business and run the store that I worked at. And I leased a location. I did for people out there. Leased location 3 months. I negotiated free rent for that location so that I
Wow.
could use that 3 months to accumulate a financial kind of, I guess, jackpot for myself. I felt like at the time, at that time, small amounts of money seemed like a lot to, but so I created this financial base in 3 months, and and forged from that, a multi-million-dollar business. So,
Yeah,
and people are surprised when I say cheerleading is can be a multi-million-dollar business. For some gym owners, they do it for the love. I personally did it for the love. I also had to have a career and a financial reward out of it, or it wasn't something that I could continue to
sure.
do.
Nobody could. Nobody could.
Because I knew that being a business owner, nobody does it for free, I guess. I want to say
Right.
some people do, I don't. But I've always kind of said I don't work for free, unless I'm volunteering, type of thing, which
Right.
is another aspect of the business I think that's super important too.
Yeah, and you're
Once you
always
finally
really good
do
at that, David.
hit goals, and you're able to do stuff for the community, it's a big important aspect
Mhm.
anyway.
Yeah, I definitely give you props for that. I remember when we did a lot of
Sorry,
volunteering.
I think we're
I know we're breaking up really bad. Um, it seems like it looks like the delay is, I think, on your side. I've got good streaming volume on my side, but
sorry.
that's okay. I can still hear you, but it's just a little bit delayed. So if people are watching, that's great. Just hang on here. But I will give you props for that as far as like giving back to the communities that you're helping and that are helping you be in business. You're giving back. So we did a lot of volunteer work. We did charity stuff. Yeah, giving back. You're really good with that. Um, let's see, look at my notes down here. So we talked about, well, you've started more than one business and you've got like multiple in the fire right now that you're working on. You're always moving forward. I don't know how you maintain it all. How do you keep yourself in check, running all that? All right. So the next question is,
I love busy. Um, yeah, I love being busy, and I love having.
yeah, you're always on the go, always busy, always type A, the type A personality. So let's talk a little bit about the shift to the online space. So 2020 obviously was a pandemic. A lot of traditional offline businesses that did not already have an online presence established, they either closed down, they furloughed employees, they had, applied for loans, all of those things. How did that shift affect you with all of your businesses? Because you are in mostly a service industry. How has that affected you?
Greatly.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
you know, the type of industry is, can you hear me?
oh, there you are.
Oops.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you
Yeah,
hear
the
me?
service. Yeah, I can hear you. We're good. We're good. Um, we will,
Okay.
we're gonna start wrapping this up. But yeah, the Wi-Fi or whatever connection you're on is a little, it's choppy for sure. Um, let's see. Oh, the last thing I really wanted to talk about really is obviously the online or the global situation affected you. How do you run all of your businesses?
It
Like,
did,
is
yeah.
there like software automation? I mean, are you doing all of this work, or do you have like automated systems in place to help you with that?
Both. But primarily, I do most of the work myself, especially because I have the time now. I kind of view this time as an opportunity to really sit back and take a good look at all of my businesses and products that I have coming up, and exactly um, what direction I want them to go in. And if we ever have an issue like this again, what can I do to really prepare for that? Because I don't think that anybody really was prepared for COVID and to be basically
Right,
lights out for a year
right.
or longer, possibly. Um, so for me personally, I am. I don't want to give away all my trade secrets, but I definitely, um, have sat and really evaluated every aspect of my business and what I can do moving forward to create even more business, but more business with the new surroundings that we have come across.
Mhm.
So it's really just about being innovative and focusing. And, a lot of people, and I'm not saying this in a negative way at all, but a lot of people have been frightened away from their businesses. And if anything, it's made me more excited about learning new things about business, because there are definitely some things, like for instance, I told you earlier, I'm not very technologically savvy. Obviously
Yeah,
my internet connection isn't that great. No fault of mine, though, no fault of mine.
right.
But um, with that being said, you know um, it's giving me the opportunity to really soak up um, ways and new, I don't know, just kind of trying to think of a good word for it. It's giving me a way to prepare operationally, I guess,
Mm,
from going back to the beginning and rebuilding everything from a different look, a different outlook, a different point. Does that make sense?
oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you nailed it right in the first part when you were talking about so many people. Actually, some great things have come out of bad situations across history. And the
Oh, I
pandemic,
agree. Yeah,
that we just had is a true example of that. There's been things that have been done faster and cheaper. And I mean, just the innovation and advancements
mm,
that businesses have had to do, it's created all this new technology and thought processes, and it's changed our paradigm, the way we think and our beliefs. And like you said, you're going back
exactly.
to kind of look at everything. So, just to, also wrap up, when, you said you obviously have run multi-million dollar companies with cheerleading, I originally, my paradigm would be like, cheerleading? Really? Is that like that big of a business when my daughter first was interested in it?
Right.
But
Exactly.
yeah,
I would say everyone said,
yeah, the mindset is definitely,
but if you did not, I want to say that, any open up a cheerleading gym because I think it's an awesome industry and I love making opportunities for kids. So,
yeah.
but if you take every, say you have 200 paying athletes in your program and each of them is paying $125 a month in tuition, do the math. I mean,
Hmm.
it can be a lucrative industry. It's just all how you look at it and how you, and then on top of it, there's all of the uniforms, the travel, the coaching, the choreography, the bows, the shoes, the bags. I mean, there's so many different aspects to it, and a lot of people aren't willing to talk about it because they're in fear that other people will open up a business similar to it. I'm not at all. If anything, there is more than enough athletes out there. There's more than enough people out there to create all kinds of new businesses and still have competition. And for me, regardless of what type of business that I own, I enjoy the competition because it makes me up my game.
Hmm.
That's how I feel.
Oh, I completely agree with you on that
Yeah,
100%. As far as, there is room for everybody out there, and you just do what you love.
absolutely.
If it makes you happy, whatever that is, whatever your story is, whatever your pains are. I mean, I looked at going online because I had had enough of, like, my husband had lost his job back when the last crash happened in
Hmm.
2008. We lost our house, which is why we had to pull out of cheer
And
at the
I
time.
remember that one well.
Yep, I'm sure you do. We had to pull
A
out of
lot of
cheer at
people did.
the
A
time.
lot of people
Yeah,
did.
yeah, I'm sure. And then I went to get a second job. I was working two jobs for 6 years. I didn't see my kids at night. I'd come home and I would cry because I didn't see them.
I
And
remember that you were in school full time too.
I was in school full time trying to think maybe that was the way I was supposed to do it. I've got
Mhm.
like two bachelors and a
See,
master's
that's how
now.
much I know each of my families.
You are. That's a good thing about a business owner too. It's the personal relationships. It's not like I'm here to scam you, It's like you create
Yeah.
relationships with these businesses that you frequent. And the point behind all of that though is I was going to say, I got to the point
Right.
where I was working not too long ago, a couple years ago, and I had vacation time that had already been approved. And it was at the holidays because my youngest was still in school. So we'd take it around the holidays. And the week before my vacation, I was told by management that I couldn't take it. That, sorry, you're going to have to not, you can't take that now. And it's like, what? It had already been approved. And, it just wasn't like my passion, and now I'm finding a passion online, such as yourself with
Right.
your businesses. I'm finding a passion online where I have a platform that I can positively impact people's lives, helping them start online businesses globally. As I mentioned, I am global. And there's plenty of room for everybody. There's billions of people
That's
out there.
awesome.
All kinds of kids that turn 18 every day, right?
Exactly.
And there's more kids being born for the sports people,
Exactly.
so it's
Which is
the
why
world
we
is,
need people.
yeah, exactly. So
Right.
gosh, this has been great, David. I really appreciate it. I would love to talk to you more. I know our connection is not super tonight, but it's about the time that I usually stop my lives anyway, as far as my
Sorry
interviews.
about that.
No, that's okay. I keep it right around this time. But I'd love to have you back on sometime in the future. If you'd love to come back for a follow-up, that would be great. Um,
Yeah.
Excellent. So that is going to be my live tonight. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. Again, if you're with me live, go ahead and say hello or just drop some comments there. We can answer those later. Otherwise, I will see you guys tomorrow. It's probably tomorrow morning. I'm going to be doing a live first thing in the morning. and it's part of my 10-day video challenge. And I don't remember what the topic is even, but that's all right. I've done so many of them, it doesn't matter. So I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you again so much, David. Really, really appreciate your input and your insight into
Thank you for
owning
having
business.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.